Okay. I think we're back. The game is loaded. I did have to restart my PC. That fixed it. Why? I don't know. That's just how computers are sometimes. The numbers are good. Why does my keyboard look like this? What? That's not the keyboard that I want. Oh, is this wallpaper? Oh, hang on. I think I have to go do something in IQ real fast. Yep, there we go. That was the wallpaper engine messing with my keyboard because I forgot to add an exception. Well, I had an exception and then I got rid of it. And then I needed it again. Okay, let's do it. All right. Not playing IC? Wrong. Lies. Lies. Deception. Or whatever the fuck Saw Gerrera says in Rogue One. I almost said Rebel One. I knew that was incorrect. Yeah, objection. All right, we're back. It's working. We're good to go. Let's do it. We are on the first part of the second episode. Hopefully I get to play as Ryunosuke again and I can use my regular voice for the narration. Because voicing Susato is hard sometimes. Episode 2, The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. A Kokoro's a heart, right?
It was a ghastly tale of a winter's night. One of an invisible killer and a crime perpetrated on the pavement along Briar Road.
You guys gotta stop going on Briar Road.
Lay at death's door.
Bad things
The
keep happening.
mystery of just who had stabbed the young lady from behind had been resolved. But no sooner had my friend saved that Eastern
Oh, this is
student from his harrowing
Right,
crimes,
this is from the earlier game.
then in the
case
dim,
they're talking about it.
flickering shadows of gaslight, did a second bizarre crime rend the stillness of that very night. I dare say most can still recall the sensational headlines of the day. Haunted apartment of death, the condemned criminal's curse, the dread demon of coal gas.
Coal gas what they used to call carbon monoxide?
Though the great detective had at once discerned the truth upon his arrival at the scene. It only proved to be the overture that announced the rising of the curtain on a most tragic play.
I don't remember very much of the first game. I said I was gonna go back and like watch some of it again so I could remind myself. I didn't do that. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a fledgling lawyer just starting out on my journey. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of law, having made the long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on the way, in quite extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I've successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. But since a particularly grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale, a tale which was now about to awaken from slumber, thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. What a delicious smell wafting up the stairs. It must be nearly time for breakfast. I'd better go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite and say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. Oh, Oh, I thought that was going to be a tutorial for, like, here's how the thing works to move around, but I guess at this point they're just like, you know what's up. It's the sequel. 30th of August, 7:28 a.m., Sholmes' suite. Ah, boy.
Ah, Runo, good. I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready.
Good morning, Iris. It smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. I had a surprise this morning. Ah. Oh, what a great start.
Shh, not another word, Mr. Naruhodo.
But you can't guess how many toes I have? I'm gonna go with 9. That's a pretty safe bet, I think.
This could be just the...
Oh, Christ. What the fuck is abstruse? I'm gonna need a dictionary definition on that.
This could be just the abstruse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation-repelling mental stimulation, my dear fellow.
Morning to you too, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, yes, I see.
Jesus Christ. I want to see this face in my fucking nightmares. Personal space!
Ah, yes, I see, so that's it. The truth is as clear to me as day. My faculties of observation have revealed it again.
What are you talking about?
You, Mr. Naruhodo, you have this very morning met with a surprise. Well, is that not the case? Really, my dear fellow, it barely warrants explanation. Firstly, your hair is particularly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button of your jacket. Clearly, when considered together, these two facts point to you having been flustered this morning. Also, your dick is out. That'll do it too.
Can I talk now?
But of course, though I don't look for admiration, you understand?
My hair always looks like this. It's been this way since I first met you.
Oh, it has.
And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. By you.
Hurley pulled your button off?
That's suggestive. Oh, did you hear that, Sholmes, pulled someone's button off yesterday? If you know what I mean.
Ah, yes, I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, to my utter dismay, the third string snapped. Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder then that in my vexation I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place.
Well, I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket.
And it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes.
Helpful.
What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was unerring. But Hurley, Bruno said it when he came in, didn't he?
They fugged? I'm sure there's some fan fiction to that exact subject matter.
I had a surprise this morning. Well, that really is a surprise.
Yes, this man is the pride of the British Empire, the famous consulting detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. There is lots of it, actually. Okay, what a surprise. Who could have seen that coming? There can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name.
Alright then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it goes cold. And I have a new herbal tea for you to try too. My latest special blend.
And here we have Iris Wilson, Mr. Sholmes' lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl who's the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yes, The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, as published in Ranced magazine.
So, Mr. Naruhodo, won't you put us out of your misery? What surprised you this fine morning?
Ah, well, I received a letter from Japan.
Oh, from Susie, you mean? Was it? Really?
That's right, and she had some rather startling news, in fact.
Ah, intriguing indeed. You must tell us all about it over breakfast. Hell yes, what fun.
Alright, I will, because I have no other choice. This is the letter that arrived from Japan this morning, like I just showed you and just talked to you about not 10 seconds ago. Just keeping you updated by International Post.
Oh, how lovely. Look at Susie's beautiful writing. I wish I could read it. And how is your judicial assistant faring, may I ask?
She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appeared as a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court and won a case.
Ah, really? Oh, isn't she wonderful? A cut above your good self, my dear fellow. Haha, get fucked.
I've won cases too, you know. I want to throw Iris out of a window. I feel you. Apparently, Mr. Natsume appeared in the trial as a witness.
Natsume. No, I don't recall that name.
Of course you do. We helped the man. Twice. You know, in those 2 cases that took place on Briar Road 6 months ago?
Ah, the mustached twitchy man with the somewhat feline eyes and the mustache. He didn't have 2 mustaches, Hurley. Yes, who could forget those 2 cases? They made a very deep impression on me. Although I must confess, the details are a little hazy now.
Same. A very deep impression they made on you, clearly. Alright.
So, what was this startling news penned by Mr. Sato?
Do you remember the case of the haunted lodgings, Mr. Sholmes?
Ah, yes, it's very interesting, you know. I don't feel entirely uncertain that a case of that nature did not occur.
He's totally forgotten them. Anyway, in her letter, Mr. Sato asked that we read over her case notes again and investigate further. Though
it took place half a year ago, for what purpose?
Because of something that Mr. Natsume said to her, apparently. He suggested that the real reason why she was called back to Japan so suddenly might have something to do with that case of the haunted lodgings.
Oh.
On Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, Mr. Sato's father questioned him about the case, she says. And something Mr. Natsume said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotoba, prompting him to send that telegram.
Oh, that case, yes. It was very strange, wasn't it?
Yes. Fucking everything that I do is weird. I live in a fucking circus. It's a nightmare.
And I'd compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication, too. But then Hurley here was all funny about it, remember? He was very mean. That story must not be published, you said, very mysteriously as well. Really? I said that? Are you sure?
You perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Sholmes? Does he have brain damage? Like, did he get roofied? What's happening? Why does he remember literally nothing about what happened? What's going on? About why Miss Susato was suddenly told 4 months ago that she had to return to Japan? Roofied, brain damage. There's plenty of reasons. He might also just be a moron. He is canonically kind of a moron. So... maybe this isn't as out of character as I think. Also, Hazagar Narsai. He always had brain damage. Yeah.
It's been 4 months now since we waved Susie off at Dover. It was such a shock, wasn't it? The way she just suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan.
The usual. That's, better than things being terrible.
Indeed it was, due to a telegram she received from her homeland, I believe.
That's right, telling her to return urgently.
Yes, because her father had passed away.
No, it was just he was suffering from a high fever, the cause of which was unknown. He's not dead. But according to this letter, that news about her father's fever was just a ruse. Routine is good? Yeah, I wouldn't know. I'm bad at routines.
A ruse? So Susie's daddy lied to her so that she'd make the voyage back home. Why would he do that?
I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea. But she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunted lodgings. Can I get a recap of the haunted lodgings? I also don't remember, but I have more of an excuse. Because it's been a year. Summoning her back to Japan so suddenly like that, I wonder what Miss Susato's father is hiding.
Hurley, do you know what it's all about? Ah, well, who can say?
What? But but you said...
Please, I have engagements, my dear fellow. My calendar is quite surprisingly full today.
Do I read 135 chapter ongoing Yuri romance manga? Yes. 135 chapters is chump change. You know what you should read? Hajime no Ippo, clocking it at I think 1400 chapters? Don't actually do that. I like Hajime no Ippo. I stopped reading it a long time ago. At around, I think, chapter 1000. So, yeah. Bit of a commitment. You're gonna read One Piece? That's, I think, 1100, 1200 chapters? I got up to 800 before I stopped. I might read it again, though. I enjoyed One Piece. But, I don't know if I really want to go back that badly. It's way too long. Yeah.
An astringent analysis of the matter would be excessive, I feel, even if I were quite at leisure. So, mend the fort of my absence, won't you, Iris? I will, Hurley. Don't worry. See you later. Adieu, bitch.
He scuttled off rather quickly there. I think perhaps Professor Mikotoba isn't the only person hiding something here. Oseki-san was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By, of all people, Mr. Shams. Not really on my radar. I mean slice of life, romance, and drama mangas. Yeah, you're not really a shonen head like I am. I was big into shonens when I was younger, and like, actually, it was the thing that got me into manga was shonen. Back when I was in like elementary school, I started reading Naruto. Or I watched Naruto, I think, and then I read it because I passed the point where the anime was caught up. Or no, I watched the original Naruto. I don't think Shippuden was out yet, or if it was just coming out. And I was like, I don't want to watch this as it's all coming out, like, weekly. So I just read the manga, and from there it was like, I read a whole bunch of stuff. So I love shonens, but, yeah, One Piece is like... I mean, I know a lot of people love it, it's just not really for me. I read it, I had fun with it, but I don't think I ever want to really go back. Maybe I'll change my tune at some point. Ooh. Started with shonen, I think, but as my anime tastes changed, so did my manga tastes. Yeah, that's fair. I dropped off of anime pretty quickly. I don't think I watched anime past junior high. I don't think I was even watching it in high school. Or if I was watching it a lot less. But I was never a big anime guy. I was always more of a manga guy because I'm a way faster reader than most people. So like if I'm reading anime subtitles, it's annoying because I'll read the subtitles instantly and then it'll take like 5 seconds for the sentence to finish. And so it's like it's kind of annoying to do it that way. Whereas manga, I can go at my own pace. But it is what it is.
Aha! I found them at last.
Iris, are they?
The notes about the case? That's right. Susie and I compiled them together.
And keeps trying to get me to One Piece. I'm always like, but damn, bro, when did they stop fighting to go golfing while kissing? Hey, I'm sure there's fan fiction.
The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Bruno?
Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. Ooh, this is a good track. I like the second game's soundtrack a lot so far. It's really good. I have no idea what secrets could still be hiding in the shadows of this case, but perhaps if I read over the notes again, something might come to light.
That's the spirit. Let's shoot a bitch.
Isn't that like a smoke gun or something? Do we ever know what that is? And so, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again together. It's like anime more because I can also play games and scroll social media at the same time. I cannot do that. If I'm watching an anime, it has to be the focus of my attention or I won't catch anything. I can't watch it on the side unless it's dubbed. Then I can watch it. But I can't read subtitles and also do something else. Yeah, you're on some other shit on like how you can multitask. I can't even begin to approach your level. Everything from what happened to our investigation and that fierce battle in court that followed. reliving every detail. I just need to find a clue, and I have all the time in the world. Because, of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great Britain. I don't remember why he was kicked out of the courts. It was 6 months ago, a mystery incident that unfolded on the wintry streets of London. Oh yeah, this guy, or this girl. A young woman was found lying on the snowy pavement of Briar Road with a knife in her back. Fortunately, her life was spared, but she was unconscious for several days following the incident. Was caught kissing Herlock. You're gay! You cannot be a lawyer anymore. Lawyers are not allowed to be gay. It says so right there in the rulebook. The fog was thick and nobody... I mean, now that I say that, if he actually had been caught kissing Herlock, he probably would have just been killed or jailed. This is like, what, the early 1900s? Late 1800s? That shit's illegal. You can't be gay. The fog was thick and nobody saw her attack her, but by a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at the time and was duly arrested. That man was Soseki-san. Oh, I thought I was going to say his full name. That's why I phrased it like that. That man was Soseki-san, and the man who effected his arrest was Mr. Sholmes. Believing in our compatriot's innocence, Susato-san and I decided to represent Soseki-san in court. Yeah, dead illegal. Being gay has only recently been something that you could not get arrested for. That's like in the last 20 years? 30 years? At most? It's still extremely illegal in many places. Yeah. Like punished by death in several. And after a grueling trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence. Joyful, joyous, jubilant jubilation! Was the man's reaction after the trial, but his jubilant jubilation was short-lived. We received a telegram from Mr. Sholmes the following morning. Did he just dab? Possibly. The victim of the Briar Road stabbing has regained consciousness. Hurry to Bart's at once. So Susato-san and I summoned a hansom and headed immediately to the hospital. Oh, is this a flashback? 21st of February, 5:30 a.m. St. Bartholomew's Hospital, Recovery Ward.
There you are at last.
Good morning, Mr. Sholmes.
I think not. Oh. You're late. What on earth took you so long? Your telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Mr. Sholmes, and it's a 20-minute ride to the hospital.
That's right, and it's 5:30 now. I think we've made very good time.
The time is utterly irrelevant. The fact is, I've been waiting for what has felt like an eternity. In point of fact, I myself was woken at 4 this morning by a telegram boy. And feeling it was somewhat unjust that I alone had been roused at such an hour, I sent one to you.
Well, thanks for that.
Anyway, you're here now, so the victim is over there. She's only just regained consciousness.
That is a round lady.
You should introduce yourselves, and I shall observe from here.
I like how there's an anatomical model that's clearly her because of how pudgy it is. Why? That feels mean. But that's the lady who was found on the snow-covered pavement with a knife in her back.
Her name is... yes, here we are. Miss Green.
Alright. Good morning. Oh, she is so despondent. Hello, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. What voice do I give her?
Oh no,
Nope, that's not it.
Hello. Was it your knife that... Are you the man who...
No, I'm a lawyer.
And I'm Susato Mikotoba. Pleased to meet you. Hello. Was it your knife then? Are you the one? No. I assure you, I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. We heard that you'd regained consciousness, and we wanted to come give you our best wishes. Best wishes? For me? Thank you. I'm Olive Green. I'm an artist. Well, no, that's not right, is it? What I mean is I'm trying to be an artist. Well, what I really mean is I desperately want to be an artist. But the truth is, I don't have any talent. I don't. It's no wonder I was stabbed in the back. I deserve death.
What the fuck? I don't think that's related, actually. Oh, I have to respond to this text real fast. Be house sitting again in September. But that...
Gosh, this young woman seems to bend over backwards to put herself down.
Being as we're here, we should ask her about what happened from her perspective, I suppose. Suddenly be struck in the back by a blade as you were walking along the pavement. What a terrible experience you had, Miss Green.
It was so cold that day, and the fog was so thick, I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago now, I think. Isn't that right? Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all that time. But the case has been solved, hasn't it? Well, I've been here in a hospital, I mean. Indeed it has, my dear madam. Spectacularly, by none other than I, Herlock Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, as you well know, it was Mr. Naruhodo's hard work in court that solved this case.
Are you yet to hear what happened, Miss Green?
Yes, I'm afraid so. A gentleman from the police force is supposed to be coming to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. Me coming round seems to have made everyone frantically busy. I'm so sorry. I should never have regained consciousness.
Jesus Christ.
It was selfish of me. Oh no, we're also relieved that you're on the mend, Miss Green. Really, we are.
With that kind of attitude, maybe her surname should be Blue, not Green. Ah! So, you're an artist, are you, Miss Green?
Oh no, I couldn't possibly claim that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. I mean, I'm a student of art, really, at the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. Oh my, an Academy of Fine Arts. Great Britain is such a wonderful country. Tell me, Miss Green, do you live hereabouts? Oh no, actually, I don't deserve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road. I see. How very interesting. Oh no, is it? Brixton is some 10 stops away on the underground from here, and Thorndike Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton town centre.
Does that matter, Mr. Sholmes?
Perhaps not, but Briar Road is a far less salubrious part of town by comparison, dwelt by those of inferior means, including the maleficent Mr. Mustache.
Oh, excuse me. Ugh. It's the taco. I can taste it. Manga's okay 4 chapters in. Nothing super special, but it's cute. Okay. Inferior means, I suppose Usagi-san does fit the bill.
It struck me as somewhat out of the ordinary for a young fine art student to be walking in such a district. That's all.
What's this? She's suddenly clammed up.
Mr. Sholmes, you should be ashamed of yourself, prying into a young maiden's private affairs. Ha 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 ha! Oh dear me, do forgive me. If you don't mind, I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pack up my things.
Oh yes, of course. We won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green. Okay. Ah, this looks like the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Do not feed. What is this place, a zoo?
You know, I seem to remember seeing an almost identical sign in our local park.
The pigeons, yes. This is a person. For a moment, I hope she hasn't read this. What, she's just a little rotund? Come on. Ah, this looks like the treatment notes for whoever's occupying this bed. Let's see. Do not permit to run around the hospital.
Patient doesn't seem to be here at the moment, so...
He or she's probably running around the hospital then.
Oh dear, how worrying.
What's worrying is why they haven't discharged the patient yet.
A mouse, Miss Naruhodo! An enormous mouse!
Vermin in a hospital. That doesn't seem the best.
It looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump.
I'm not sure we can say that's down to the excellence of this facility, if that's what you were thinking. It occurs to me, in this moment, that I'm in a hospital, and there's a narrow the character in one of the other games, I believe Trials and Tribulations, that also has a character that shows up in a hospital. And if they show up here, I'm ending the stream. I don't want to see them again. Just letting you know. If the stream suddenly stops, that'll be why. Is it the creepy dude? Yeah, the fucking gross creepy guy. I don't remember his name. But if he shows up again, I'm going to be cross.
That must be a bag of Miss Green's personal belongings.
Know exactly what you mean? Yeah. He's pretty memorable, unfortunately. She would have been brought directly here after she was found stabbed on the pavement, though. Yeah, he's gross. I don't like him.
I expect a friend or family member probably brought some things for her.
Alright then, let's see what's inside. A change of clothes, no doubt, and...
No, Mr. Naruhodo, you must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings.
The young maiden might have chocolates, or biscuits, or caramel. That's profiling? Fuck you. Okay, there's more stuff here, apparently. Guess we'll examine this. This rounded wooden figure isn't the most charming, is it?
Ah, I don't think that's a decoration, Mr. Naruhodo. It's an artist's mannequin, I believe, used when practicing sketching the human form in different poses.
Really? It's not exactly what you'd call a typical figure for that purpose, though, is it?
No, I suppose not. I confess I've never seen one quite so fucking fat before.
Well, if you want to draw a full-figured person, it's the right tool for the job. Look, there's a photograph in this frame here.
Oh yes, it's a picture of a young gentleman.
Looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think? He does have a ring on. Does she? Probably not.
My, Miss Naruhodo, I didn't know you had a sense for the matters of the heart.
Not in the least. I sincerely said the first thing I thought of. Oh, God. Is there Mr. Narrowfodder here? Mr. Narrowfodder. Narrow fodder now. Well, if you're looking for Naruhodo, the lawyer, that's me, but... Ah, Mr. Narrowfodder, good. This is for you. A message from Mr. Saucy Nutsmeg? Saucy Nutsmeg. That's a drag queen name, if I've ever seen one. If I ever do drag, that's the name I'm using. Saucy Nutsmeg? Are you fucking kidding me? Wow. Mr. Natsume sent a message to me?
But why would a policeman be delivering a message for Mr. Natsume?
Exactly. What's going on? What's a Scotland Yard constable doing playing delivery boy at this time in the morning?
Ah, what are you waiting for? Let me see that.
Oh,
Well, this is most unexpected.
something wrong, Mr. Sholmes?
Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? He says. Oh, is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? Is what you sound like. Fuck you. Have you not seen this note?
No, how could I have?
It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. A new case calls. A case of murder, no less. It's a fucking Ace Attorney game. What do you expect? We must depart at once. Murder? Call a cab. Time is of the essence.
But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsume's note. I was thinking we ought to pay him a visit in the lodgings once we did.
That would be entirely convenient. Convenient? What do you mean? It's all here in the note, my dear fellows. The matter we must investigate took place at Mr. Mustache's lodgings.
Wait, what?
I'll handle the affair at once. Affair. Excuse me.
It was only yesterday that Soseki-san was in court and we were dispelling doubts about his innocence. And now, the very next day, there's a murder at the man's own address. He very well be the unluckiest man alive. Or so it seemed to us at the time, but we were soon to discover it was worse than we thought. "21st of February, 7:18 a.m. Mr. Natsume's lodgings, ground floor." Christ! They didn't even clean up the body? What the fuck? What on earth?
Oh my, the gentleman is deceased without question. He's dead.
Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Mr. Natsume. Oh, why? Why is this happening? Why to me? I've only just got out of court yesterday. I was finally home after 2 days of misery. And then I wake up the next day to this. No early bird should catch a worm like this. Woeful worm without wiggle.
I see you're in high spirits again this morning, Mr. Mustache.
Ah! Not the horrible Herlock Sholmes! Shoo! Shove off! Show yourself the door! I never invited you!
Mr. Jones came here with us. I'm quite sure he'll be able to help you, Mr. Natsume. I'm entirely at your disposal, Mr. Mustache. What can I do for you?
Corpse looks like the perfume dude from Dual Destinies. Oh, yeah, I can see it. He got a similar color scheme, and the hair color is the same as well. Grrr. Oh, here he is. Here they are, already, the busybodies.
Ah, Inspector Gregson, what a pleasant surprise.
Pleasant, is it? Gives me heartburn every time I see your face at a crime scene, Sholmes.
Ha! I deduce, Inspector, that your heartburn is a result of your excessive consumption of fried food.
Good morning, Inspector. This is a crime scene. Don't you go touching anything. Or good morning to you too, sunshine. Yikes. Alright, well, let's touch the body immediately. Oh, hey, shit, hands off. You're gonna mess up my crime scene. Oh, no, I just wanted to look, that's all. No chance. I know you're kind. You'll mess it up just by looking at it. Someone's in a bad mood.
There's certainly some bad air in here, isn't there?
Alright, it sounds like I'd better talk to the inspector first and try to curry some favor. Maybe with some curry. Curry. So, Inspector, what was the victim's name? Who was he? Mr. William... Mr. William Shamspeare. He was a lodger here. As you can probably tell, he was an actor. Bit of a dead loss as it happens, or just dead.
Mr. Shamspeare.
Was the landlord, old Mr. Garadeb, and the other lodger, Mr. Natsume, who found him. The fella didn't rise at his usual hour, so Garadeb got worried and kicked the door down. But doesn't Mr. Garadeb have a bad leg? Ah, yeah, you're right there. Yeah, it was a jittery Japanese hunchback over there who actually did the kicking. Really? So Seki-san? The victim was pretty hard up, it seems. He was bricked up, hard as a rock. Should have seen his cock. Even done some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, no place to go, and no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in this house. Miserable life and a miserable end to it. Fuck him. So what exactly is Mr. Natsume still doing here? Question, if I added an NPC that is a AA-ass name, would you throw me off a 12-story building? No, but I'd want to. Very badly. But I lack the means. He's not involved in the investigation, so shouldn't you have sent him away from the crime scene? Well, I'm not saying it's because the fellow looks odd or anything, or that he acts suspicious. But I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the cohabitant. You nearly said culprit there, didn't you?
Oh dear. Mr. Natsume appears to be under suspicion again.
Certainly seems that way. He does just come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he?
Poor man, how unfortunate.
Anyway, I can't say much until the coroner gets you. But I don't think the fella's been a goner that long. The body's still warm. Even if the inspector would allow it, I don't think I could bring myself to touch a dead body. Okay. What a terrible thing to have happened. It's only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident on the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, it starts happening all over again. Endless existence of excruciating experiences. Fuck, that's the title of my autobiography. So the victim lived here on the ground floor, and your room is just 1 story up, isn't it? Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose. Did you know the victim? Were you friends? I sucked his dick. Okay, maybe we tumbled a couple times, but... Okay, so... Do you know what a Cleveland steamer is? What's the matter with Soseki-san now? It was an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem so shaken by it? Well, I suppose he wasn't a complete stranger. But did he ever invite me to his room? Never! On my honor, I swear it!
What an extreme reaction. They totally fucked. You're probably wishing you'd never asked now, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
When we found him here, I felt wretched, which is why I sent word asking you to come. Through that inspector over there! Oh, god damn it. Sholmes! Get off the wall! Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing?
Ha! You need only observe it to know it, my dear fellow. Investigating naturally.
There's nothing natural about that pose.
Mr. Sholmes, have you made some miraculous discovery? Patience, my dear madam, patience. We've not been here in this room 5 minutes. So far, all I've managed to deduce is what actually happened. My goodness! But isn't that everything we need to know, Mr. Sholmes? Now that you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see in that way. Or see it. It, not in. At the present time, I have managed to draw 2 incontrovertible conclusions. The first, that there was a physical struggle here last night in which the victim fought for his life.
Ah!
Ha!
Mr. Natsume, what's wrong? Is something that Mr. Sholmes said significant somehow? No, don't mind me, forget I was here.
And my second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night that passed the victim's lips.
Nonsense!
Ha!
Alright, Mr. Natsume, why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Sholmes' deductions? We all know he's an idiot. No, please, pretend I'm not here. Invisible, ineffable, inscrutable, insignificant. That's the second title to my autobiography. Impossible to ignore.
You must tell us everything, Mr. Sholmes. Spare no detail. But of course. Let the theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts.
I really do hate this man. The dichotomy of Sholmes. Waffle saying I love Sholmes, Ultimate Fail saying he hates him. A perfect way to describe the man. We've heard some truly astounding great deductions from Mr. Sholmes in the past. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles will unfold before our eyes this time? Oh, not Sholmes? Oh, Natsume? I gotcha.
So, my dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Sherlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Act 1.
Alright, here we go again. Game is afoot. I'm actually gonna move my camera over.
Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night.
Sholmes isn't much better. Fair. You would kiss Sholmes? I believe you. I require no convincing.
Foam in the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison.
Oh, well. Something's up immediately. Also, is this the first time we've interacted with a dead body during, like, the narrative section? Usually they're shown in, like, the flashbacks, but I don't think they've ever actually shown, like, the main character seeing a dead body? Am I right on that? I think that's correct. What the fuck is that?
Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate which contains, you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap.
Meaningful? Indubitably. I was gonna guess that that was soap, and it is.
Why is this soap sits purposefully upon the dish, like the victim's last supper? In fact, yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. It appears that the young man's appetite was his undoing. Taking up arms in the form of his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. But the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end he couldn't resist devouring this slippery feast. But London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. The soap and the lather about the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore.
Or drank soap water? I have no idea.
The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Personally, I have a greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course.
What? God, my face. There's no good place to put a webcam in this game. I'm just giving up. It's going here.
The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. Though forced open now, at the time of the incident, this door was locked. And the sole key was in the victim's pocket. In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone, along with his inferior soap, from whence wafted an inferior scent. And with that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end in tragic solitude. We can take comfort only in the fact that his soul was well cleansed on his way to the hereafter.
No possible perpetrator present.
Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction.
So the first act is complete bullshit. Why would this dude eat soap? What, the idea that it just smelled so good, he was like, I'm gonna put that in my mouth until I die, is insane. The second act actually is a good point. This is kind of a locked room mystery. So, at least it wasn't that bad. Rotate it 45 degrees counterclockwise and place it halfway between the middle and bottom left of the screen would be in the way of nothing. Oh, you want me to if I fucking rotated it? If it was slanted? Perfect. It still covers the dialogue. There's no winning. Like I keep saying, this game is made for a phone, so like it uses so much of the screen real estate, which is just good design in general. It just sucks in this specific circumstance. There's just one thing, Mr. Shelms.
Why, disposed to identifying just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what concerns you?
Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think the man would have eaten soap?
It is quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. It is a curious thing, but one so destitute, soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appetizing. How extraordinary! In truth, I have tried a little soap myself in the past.
You've eaten it, you mean?
My dear fellow, it was some time ago now. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut. This was 2 weeks ago. I shit my pants. And did it? As I writhed in agony on the floor and spilt the contents of my stomach, yes, I believe it did. The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. It has an unpleasant taste and leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it.
When I go to hotels, I take a bite out of the soap to confuse the cleaning staff. That is pretty funny, actually. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did.
There's something that troubles me as well, actually.
Oh, what's that?
It's Mr. Natsume.
Ah!
I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering out of the corner of my eye. I think he nutted. I'm not super sure, but he probably nutted. Almost as if Mr. Shelm's deductions touched a nerve somehow. A nerve right in his dick. Has he nutted?
No, nonsense! I did not nut! Oh, that clenched teeth episode didn't last.
I think, judging by Mr. Natsume's reaction, the great detective's deductions may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth.
Yes, Mr. Sholmes' observations and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp, but very erotic. So Seki actually eats soap. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it in at an obtuse angle. When he does that, it falls to us to straighten things out. Alright then, let's see what we can do.
Yes, we must pick out the key words in Mr. Sholmes' quite brilliant deductions, and discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. We can do that. I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Sholmes meant to say in the first place. In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Herlock Sholmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1.
Alright, Jackass. Jackass? I meant to say jackass, but I didn't get there. I'm very tired today, I don't know why. Alright.
After observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night.
Foam of the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. So poison is the keyword. Next to the victim, we notice a large planning plate which contains, as you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful, indubitably. Why is the soap set so purposefully upon the dish? Like the victim's last supper. In fact, yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. There's no fork marks in the soap. You dingbat. Well, you can't deny that a fork implies the man was eating something, or about to eat something.
Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat some soap, I should prefer to use a fork than to attempt it with chopsticks.
And of course, only half of the bar of soap is left on the plate.
But might there not be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap.
Is it the fork itself? Okay, I guess it's the fork itself, because there's no soap on the fork. Suppose you'd eat soap with a fork, wouldn't you?
I don't think it's a question of which implement you choose. You shouldn't eat soap, full stop.
But then why? Why does this man have a fork in his hand? Damn it! Why? Susato, please, answer the question.
Oh dear, I understand your frustration, Mr. Naruhodo, but please don't take it out on me. The point is, if we decided that the man used this fork to eat the soap, we wouldn't be changing Mr. Sholmes' deduction. So we really ought to consider some other clues.
Okay, maybe not that. Oh, hello. What's this down here? Oh, it was just broken in half. Look, there's more soap on the floor here. Mr. Shamspear must have really loved this stuff. God damn it. I've caught the stupid bug.
Let's not jump to conclusions, Mr. Naruhodo. Look closely at this soap. Do you see that it would fit perfectly together with the half bar on the table?
What the? How can that be? How? I don't understand. Notices as you said there wasn't soap on the floor. Oh.
I think that there are two halves of the same bar that broke apart.
Alright. Present that.
Take that!
I do love these sections, they're very theatric. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the other piece of soap reveals the answer. It being the other half of the soap on the table, in short, the victim was not eating soap at all.
But it's obvious, really, for no depths of hunger could drive any man to attempt to eat soap. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite.
But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. It's so extra, just like all of the series? Yeah, I agree.
An excellent observation, Mr. Naruhodo, and one that furnishes with the answer that we seek. For London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plates.
Alright. No longer fits. Mr. Sholmes is still pushing the soap argument then.
Perhaps he's suggesting the man licked the soap rather than ate it.
If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I want to be washing my hands with it. But there are no signs of any food in this room at all.
Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it?
The teacup? Yeah, okay, this stain doesn't let me, so I'm like 90% sure it's the teacup. Make sure there's nothing else on screen. Yeah, okay.
Take that!
Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup.
Indeed, cups have been the vessel of choice for practicing poisoners over the centuries.
He sucked a poison dick.
It would appear that this...
Saseki-san is like, no, he didn't suck a poison dick. That would be crazy.
And it would appear that this victim drank every last drop.
There's no sign of food anywhere in the room.
Which leads this to the immutable conclusion. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in this teacup.
Poison in the tea.
The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer.
Ah, the Western vessel for infused hot drinks again. It's already featured heavily in our deductions so far.
Yes, we can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Shamsphere was having a drink of tea. There would be nothing remarkable about that, but what troubles me...
Mr. Natsume's reaction when he heard Mr. Sholmes suggest it. There's more to this deduction than it seems.
We must closely examine this scene of the crime again for some clues.
Okay. Aha! Wow, we didn't really look at all, huh? Like, not even a little bit. It's right fucking there.
Take that!
Sholmes, you were looking in this direction when you were on the side of the room we talked to you at. Did the man dine and die alone? This other teacup suggests the answer. Yes, there were 2 teacups in this room all along. Ah! In other words, this is a strong indication that at the victim's Last Supper, there was a guest present.
At the very least, we can now say with certainty that somebody else was here in this room last night, taking tea with the victim.
What are you talking about? Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable.
Shut up! To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly.
In which case, what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table?
Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow.
You mean to say you know who exactly was in this room at the time of the victim's death?
Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock.
Okay. I'm not sure I like where this deduction is going now.
I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the halcyon days of eating too much soap.
But the identity of the guest who was in here last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about. Before the victim was trying to poison Soseki or whatever his name is and drank the wrong cup. Maybe. That's very possible.
Well, you can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruhodo.
No, I suppose not. Time to look around again. Oh, and not the glasses? Glasses would be it. What's this?
It's empty.
Empty of liquid, but full of air. That makes you think, doesn't it?
It makes me think that you're full of hot air. We should be thinking about who else was in the room at the time.
Bother. Jisada-san's quip in response was cleverer than my original riddle. Fuck! What else? Sneeze. Ooh, excuse me. The books, maybe? Are they from, Seki-san's room? First glance, it seems that the only things in this room are the makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these 3 books initially.
I wonder what they are. Let's see. The titles read... The Picture of Monsieur Lecoq, Canterbury Yearnings, and A Meal for Gaboriou.
Why do you pronounce French thing?
It's the way to pronounce it!
Wait, I'm sure I've heard these titles before.
It'd just be an incredible coincidence, but they're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsume purchased the other day.
What? Yes, on the day of the unfortunate incident when Miss Green was stabbed. Seki-san had just been to a bookshop and bought them, that's right.
And now those 3 titles are here in the room of the victim.
Mr. Natsume claims never to have been here before. What does this mean, do you think?
I really don't know what to make of it.
Well, it's probably that, so let's do that. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the pile of familiar books.
Quite so. It's no mere coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's the link to the truth.
Ah! Mr. Natsume, you purchased these books 4 days ago at a second-hand bookshop. That's just coincidence.
In that case, you will be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? This very moment.
No, never! Non-negotiable! If you can't bring your own copies here, it proves that these 3 books are in fact yours. I like that pose. Having purchased the books 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day. So you could conceivably have brought the books here on that evening, but you never mentioned that.
In other words, you could only have brought these 3 books here to the victim's room.
That's pretty funny.
Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. In short, there is only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in this room, here in his room last night as a result of poisoning.
And that same night, the victim had a visitor.
And that visitor
was you, Mr. Soseki Natsume. I came!
thus concludes the final act of Herlock Sholmes' quick deduction. Someone get that man a new pair of pants.
Hell yeah.
Oh, don't touch me, don't touch me. Oh, don't touch me. Oh God, not again. Not again, this keeps happening.
Not again! Well then, Mr. Natsume. It would appear you're gonna have to accompany me down to the yard. Again. But wait! Hold your horses! Yes. Door, key, locked, entry, exit, entirely impossible. So flustered, he's being even stranger than normal. What, you think that's an alibi? You could have just made a copy. You live in the same building after all. You'd have plenty of opportunity, I'm sure. Misery me! Sorry, sir. You'll get your chance to give your side of the story later.
The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache.
You horrible Herlock Sholmes. Well, he has found himself an arch rival now, hasn't he? Come on now, no jelly-jollying. Outside, there's a carriage waiting. Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but... You have to help me, please, please, I'm innocent. Alright, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it. And one more thing. Oh, yes? My poor little kitty cat. Please give him his breakfast for me. And also a new pair of pants. And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken, Soseki-san found himself once again the prime suspect in a case of murder. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of the great detective.
My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you.
It's true, yeah, we did technically incriminate him here. Well, at least that means Inspector Gregson is no longer here. We can examine the crime scene in more detail now.
Yes, that's right. And of course.
What?
Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Garrideb, who discovered Mr. Shakespeare.
Ah, Mr. John Garrideb, yes.
I expect we could find him in his sitting room on the top floor as usual.
Oh god, I don't remember his voice. Actually, I think I might. Right, we must remember to go and talk to him later then. Cool, okay. I'm going to... There's something on the floor down there. Let's see already. I'm gonna go refill my water. I'll be right back. I'm back. Like he blames Sherlock even though you're pretty much the one who pointed out he was in the room. Yeah, exactly. If we had done nothing, he would have been fine, but here we are. Alright, what is this?
What's this?
That's what I'm asking. Looks like a part of an envelope, I think.
Yes, I think you may be right. Perhaps it was torn off when the letter was opened.
Is that significant?
Well, it's a little out of place, perhaps. When you look around the room, there's no sign of a letter or the rest of the envelope, in fact, is there?
Ah, she's right.
And yet here we have the torn off end of an envelope. It just strikes me as unusual.
I agree. We better take this, just in case. Okay. Noted.
Oh, the poor man, so young to die. Do you suppose it was very painful death, being poisoned as he was?
I don't know. All we can do now is hope that he'll be reborn to a better life.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I wonder. You think that putting our hands together in a Japanese prayer will help a British soul?
Sorry?
I made sure I had a reference at the ready for just such an occasion as this, actually. This book is entitled The Beginner's Guide to Praying for the Departed, the British Way. I'll just reread it now. One moment.
There's quite a spine on that book, isn't there? Alright. Whoops. That's not what I meant to click on. That's what I wanted. And here we have another disproportionately large machine. This looks like a meter of some kind.
Ah, this is a gas meter, I think. It seems that in this district, residents pay for gas as they use it with coins.
I see. Yes, now you've pointed it out. I can see that there's a slot just here that looks like it would take a coin. So you mean if you put a coin in here?
That's right. That would buy you about 2 hours of gas for lights and heating.
So if you were a poor person with no money, you'd have to sleep in the freezing cold?
Yes, or if you were a scatterbrain with no change because you forgot to exchange your money at the bank.
Thank goodness there's no meter in our office. That's fucked up. This is a gas wall light, isn't it? Must be connected to a gas pipe in the wall. You can literally... What the fuck do you mean, maybe? You can see it with your eyeballs. It's on the outside of the wall.
Gas lights, a gas stove. London really is a city of gas.
But now that I think about it, Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb had an open fire on the top floor, didn't they?
Oh yes, you're right. I don't recall seeing a gas stove up there.
Well, I much prefer a real fire anyway. So much cozier. Alright. Look at these extravagant bright costumes. Somehow they look out of place in this room, but it's some grim, shady goings-on.
This one looks like a king's attire.
A king? I've always dreamt of being a king.
Oh, I think you'd be more suited to a feudal lord, a daimyo or such like.
With a chonmage top knot? Every Japanese man wishes he had a chonmage.
Oh, you look wonderful with one, and you already have the sword.
Can you imagine what would happen if I walked around the streets of London with a chonmage and a sword? I'd be tearing the bitches off me. They'd just be tackling me in the streets. This candle might be important.
This is some sort of...
Nope, that was... Okay, I wanted to do the candle, but apparently we're looking at the stage.
This is some sort of makeshift stage, I think, isn't it?
Where does the audience sit, though, for the nightly Shakespeare performances?
Actors aspiring to the great stage must practice their art, Mr. Naruhodo, with or without an audience. In fact, on a related note, perhaps you should set up a mock bench for the defense in your office.
What?
Then you could practice your art every single day!
I'll think about it if you promise to don a beard and play the role of the judge.
Well, if that would help you achieve your goal.
This I have to see. Yeah, Susato's ride or die.
There's not much on these shelves, is there? Just this wine glass and bottle. And both of them are cracked.
Yes, not much use, are they? What's the matter?
Oh, I was just reminded of the Reaper, that's all.
Prosecutor Lord Van Zeeks?
Yes, he's so reckless with his wine glasses. I was thinking it's a waste and that he should donate some to the needy.
You can suggest it next time we meet. He does break like several glasses and bottles once a trial.
As we've seen from the outside, the window is completely bricked up. It's so erect! A vestige of the former window tax that Britons had to pay.
What strange things they used to tax in Great Britain. I mean, making people pay for the number of windows they had in a property? It's extraordinary.
It's heartbreaking to think of the poor having to block up their windows just to avoid an unaffordable tax. Oh!
What is it, Mr. Sato?
If you look closely, a number of these bricks are loose.
Aha! Why? Why is there so much soap? Explain. Is there an illegal soap smuggling ring? Is that what's happening? What the fuck? Oh yes, it looks as though an amateur has broken out a few of them here. Was it Mr. Shamspeare who did it, I wonder? Being the lodger renting this room.
Ah, look at this, Mercer Naruhodo. On the outside, there's a little ledge. And there's something on it.
What, outside?
It's so cold outside. You can feel it through this gap.
It did snow all last night. It would be cold. But more importantly, what is it on the ledge out there? What are those snow-covered lumps? The soap has coke in it.
It's more bars of soap. Yummy!
Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on a ledge outside the window?
I have no idea. But the pair of them look rather charming like that.
Was he making soap? Was that the deal? He was trying to, like, cool it off by putting it outside? Still, that's very strange, isn't it? Bars of soap lined up outside the window. I think perhaps we should take one. There are two, after all.
Oh dear, I suppose we could. Oh, what's this? Look here at this soap.
Ah,
Do you see, in the middle of there, there's a patch that's different, that's a different color. It's sort of transparent, but
some sort of fancy design, I suppose. Only in Great Britain.
it looks like the Hinomaru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful. It's probably a very expensive brand.
Expensive? What's it doing in this ramshackle old room? Okay, I'm probably going to take a look at that.
This part is a different color. It's an exquisite design, isn't it?
Trust the British to turn a boring bar of soap into something special.
I quite like it. It reminds me of the Hinomaru design of the Japanese flag. I expect this is rather expensive soap.
That doesn't seem likely, given who it belongs to. No, can't pry it out or anything? Alright. Alright, well, it's not that. Maybe we have to talk to Garrett. Nope, I didn't mean to click on that. Nice. It says to investigate more here. Go to the Garrett. If we have to come back, we will. 21st of February, the Garrett room. Here we are again, the eccentric landlord's eccentric top floor abode.
We're here because Mr. Garrett the one who discovered the incident this morning. Don't forget.
Don't ask Phoenix where his ancestors were in 1937. Yikes. I think I remember his voice. Are you chaps, sir? Yes, good morning, sir. Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday. It was quite a trial. As much for Mr. Garrett as anyone, really. Came straight back here for all that business debated yesterday. Didn't expect to wake up to more bally nonsense this morning.
I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling us exactly what happened, Mr. Garrett.
Yes, I suppose you'd like to know all about that dead loss of an active chap in the ground floor room. Those were exactly Inspector Gregson's words, weren't they? Stiff upper lip, and all that. It must have been a real shock for you this morning. I hear that you discovered what had happened. Oh, well, that hypnotic chap rises at 5 o'clock sharp early every morning without fail. At 5:30 this morning, he still hadn't lit the gas. I went down and knocked on his door, but no bolly answer.
And that's when you broke into his room by kicking down the door.
Well, I called that rum-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work, of course. Wasn't it a little premature to kick the door down? The man could have just overslept by half an hour.
That's very true, Mr. Naruhodo. If 30 minutes of oversleeping warranted such behavior, I'd have to kick your door down every morning.
Well, you know, better to be safe than sorry and all that. It's me, or is he avoiding our gaze now all of a sudden?
Except that it was a sorry situation indeed that you found on the far side of the door.
Excuse me. The victim's name is Mr. Shakespeare, I believe. Is that right? Yes, William Shakespeare took the ground floor room 3 months ago now.
And how would you describe him?
In a word, destitute. Poor as fuck. I almost said her name in her voice.
Destitute?
Well, let's face it, the only redeeming feature of that room is the cheap rent. Anyone wanting to live in a place like that is either broke or has a bully screw loose. So hard to choose which category Saseki-san would fall into.
Mr. Naruhodo, that's a little rude.
He was doing research as well. Research? Into what? Shakespeare, of course. Shakespeare. And if he plays the old bard myself, you know, Romeo and Hamlet and all that.
Yes, William Shakespeare is England's most highly regarded classical playwright and author. He's known as Sao in Japanese, you know, and many of his works have already been translated.
It's incredible that Shakespeare was shortened to Sao, though. Someone was too heavy-handed there. There were a lot of costumes in the victim's room, actually, weren't there?
Of course, Mr. Natsume is a scholar of English literature as well. I imagine he and Mr. Shakespeare would have had much in common.
Shakespeare interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder. Let's hope it's not that.
Mr. Naruhodo, really, how rude. I heard you speaking in your mind.
After Mr. Natsume's trial yesterday, you came straight back here, I believe, didn't you? Did you notice anything strange between then and this morning? Well, now, it must have been about 6 in the evening by the time I got home. Snow was coming down rather heavily, as I remember, and it was completely dark already. That failed actor chap was out at the time. Mr. Garrett had noticed that there was no light from his room or something, I suppose. Couldn't summon the energy for anything much, so I just sat in front of the fire up here. It was after 8 before Shakespeare got back, and the chap was up until past 1 in the morning, I'll have you know. Though he made it in sometime after that. I was asleep by then, so I'm rather in the dark there. Well, thank you. That was very illuminating. Is everything all right, Mr. Sato?
Well, I was just thinking it's a little strange, that's all. Mr. Garrideb, you were up here in your room all evening, if I've understood correctly.
Not a big fan of stairs. Not with this blasted leg.
Then, how is it that you seem to know? The precise movements of your tenant on the ground floor, I mean.
That's a very good point. I can't imagine that you could hear noises from the ground floor all the way up here. Does this old man like to spy on his tenants? Is that it? Did he just break his pipe? That's not supposed to bend like that. I say, I know what you're thinking. It is a bully outrage. I'm ex-military, don't you know? I don't go around spying on my tenants. Why would I?
Then how did you know, Mr. Garrett?
It's the gas woman. The gas tells me everything. The gas?
Yes, stewardess, I speak gas.
What on earth do you mean, sir? How can the gas tell you anything, let alone everything? Well, as you're probably aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes. Yes, I'd more or less worked that out.
Every room in the building is connected by a single pipe to the gas main outside. And the gas company supplies gas to properties via the main.
Yes, I understand that too. Let me see if I can explain. Let's say I was to light the gas lamps up here. What do you suppose would happen? Well, obviously the room would get brighter. Actually, as a superpower, he hears every fart done in the 5 mile radius. Oh, there's a squeaker about 2.5 clicks out. Marvelous. Exactly, but at the same time, the lights in all the other rooms of the house would dim for a moment. What? They dim? Why?
Perhaps it's because when you light a gas lamp, it briefly uses more gas than usual. And that reduces the amount of gas in the pipe for the other lamps that are connected to it. That might explain why other lamps dim momentarily, mustn't it? Or mightn't it?
Yes, of course, because everything's connected to a single supply pipe.
If that's supposed to happen, though, it sounds rather undesirable.
Totally good point. Fact is, the gas company's pipes in these parts are pretty hopeless. Long worn out. We've barely got any gas in them to start with. Opposite's also true, of course. Extinguish the lamps up here, they glow brighter than the rest of the house. Ah, right, I see. But by watching the flickering of the lamps in one room, you can determine what's happening elsewhere. You've got it.
Oh, of course, because when people come back home in the evening, and before they go to sleep at night, what they're guaranteed to do is either light or put out their lamps and fires.
Clever. How do you know he was the one who did it and not someone else in the fucking building? You don't. Anybody could have done it. This tells us fuck all. In point of fact, the room on the ground floor and the one above it use slightly different amounts of gas. Watching the lights in here closely, I can work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house. Okay, that's absurd, but sure.
Gosh, that's fascinating, Mr. Garrett. Absolutely fascinating.
Oh, well, nothing to it really. And I can't really see that it's going to help us with this case either. What I'd like to know is why Mr. Garrett is so interested in what his tenants are up to in the first place. The fucking nosy Nancy. It happens. Some people are just curious, alright? It's like there's more to it than idle curiosity. Okay. Let's go talk to Mr. Natsume. 21st of February, local prison cell 9. He's not here. Never mind. Anything in here? 21st of February, Briar Road. Nope. Alright, let's go back to the room. Something here I missed. Oh, the teacup. I didn't even fucking look at the teacup.
Ah, one of the teacups that Mr. Shamspeare and his guest drank from last night. But don't go drinking from them, Mr. Naruhodo. There's spirit of poison inside.
I'm not planning on drinking any, don't worry. Anyway, the cups are both empty.
That's true. So one was Mr. Shamspeare's, and the other must be the cup that Mr. Natsume was drinking from.
And Soseki-san wasn't poisoned, of course. Perhaps we should take these so we can examine them in more detail later. The green line around the room was Mr. Natsume's. Okay. There we go. Is this Sholmes? Looks like you're having a good snoop around, eh? Oh no, it's Gregson. He said A, I should have guessed. All the cops talk like this, eh? You see? Inspector Gregson, back so soon. After I threw that little Japanese fella in the clink, I went and reported this to the investigation division. In 5 minutes' time, this place will be corned off by the yard. Oh, I see. Well, we'd better be leaving then.
Poor Mr. Natsume must be feeling very low being back in a cell again so soon.
I'm sure we should probably go and...
What's wrong, Mr. Naruhodo?
Dude? You okay? Oh boy. Out! Out, brief candle! Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player! That's almost a dab, it's so close. That struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. Now,
How soundeth the next part?
it's the deb, not a dab. It is a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Indeed, oh happy day.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Walking Dead! Coming soon on NBC. The fella isn't dead at all! What was that nonsense he was saying, though?
I think, yes, it was from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. A soliloquy from Act 5, Scene 5.
Shakespeare? Yeah, apparently no one checked his pulse. So it was that the victim, Mr. William Shakespeare, came back to life. If the man had indeed been poisoned, it transpired that it hadn't killed him. He was taken by some emergency carriage to a nearby hospital for treatment. And Inspector Gregson evicted us from the scene of the crime. Whatever that now was. Wild. Oh, who the fuck is this? You've got to be shitting me. 21st February, Bar Road.
Whatever do you think will happen now?
Good question. What a strange situation for Mr. Natsume. Arrested for murder, but then the victim comes back to life.
I think perhaps the victim was never dead in the first place. It seems very likely that Mr. Shakespeare did consume poison, as we deduced. But was it an accident, attempted suicide, or attempted murder? Until the truth can be established, I imagine the police will keep Mr. Natsume in custody.
I suppose so. Let's hope it doesn't come to anything more than a night in the cells. Oh, what's this? What's that man doing over there? Looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings.
Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo?
Excuse me, could we have a word? What the fuck? Why is everyone in this game so fucking flamboyant? Everybody JoJo poses all the time. What's happening? He just ran off.
I feel sure that I've seen that man somewhere before. Where was it?
I do too, but I don't remember. Well, we've done as much investigating here as we can, I think. Perhaps we ought to go to the prison and speak with Mr. Natsume again.
A good idea.
Oh, there's soap there now. With the exception of the top floor where Mr. and Mrs. Garrett live, all the windows are bricked up.
Yes, that's because an old window tax that was charged on the number of windows a property had. In order to pay less, the poorest members of society erected a brick wall in front of many of their windows. That's why they call it bricked up.
But the tax has since been abolished, hasn't it? So the windows could all be opened up again, surely.
Unfortunately, it would appear that the residents of this district can't afford to pay to have the work done.
Yes, that is a sad state of affairs.
Especially for people like poor Mr. Natsume, who have to live all cooped up in a windowless room.
I suppose that's the price you pay for living in very cheap accommodation.
It all seems rather pointless when you put it like that.
We're not going to talk about the soap that's there? Okay. Fuck it, I guess. Let's leave. Poor guy. 21st of February, local prison, cell 9.
Look, Mr. Naruhodo. He's about to hang himself. Mr. Natsume, have the police finished questioning you now?
Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Oh, yes. What is he? Tell me, is he a ghost? Is he here to haunt me? Let me guess, you're talking about Mr. Sholmes.
He actually calls himself a great detective, Mr. Natsume, not a ghost.
But his diabolical deductions, they're not of this world. They've left me. Ah, cursed, I'm cursed, I tell you. Wow, that sort of hurts.
Credit where credit is due, Mr. Naruhodo. You were heavily involved in the deduction, too.
Yes, moving on, we have some wonderful news. Oh?
The victim that we all thought was dead has come back to life again.
Now, in the absolutely worst case, you could only be tried for attempted murder. That's great, isn't it, Mr. Natsume? It's terrible!
Oh,
I'm stuck in this cell, suffering for some silly wrong end of the stick! You did it, didn't you? Confess, you're a killer! Why the mustache? Constant questions!
I'm sorry to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Ah, the selfish shyster! Make up your mind. Are you dead or alive? If you were going to come back to life, why bother dying? Wickedly wishy-washy William! Well, it seems likely that Mr. Shakespeare was never actually dead in the first place. Ah, yes, that might make sense, and I'm pleased that he's alive, of course. Our lively debate last night was much fun. I'd be sad to think it was our last.
Oh,
Oops. Mr. Natsume, does this mean that you did see the victim last night? You met with Mr. Shakespeare, didn't you? I'm not saying another word. I demand to have a lawyer present. What do you think I am? Please, Mr. Natsume, we need to hear your side of the story. Why am I cursed like this? Alright, let's see it. You tell us exactly what happened last night then, Mr. Natsume. There's nothing to tell! Fucking got me with the got him up in the corner. Nice, dude. But, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, I'm eternally grateful to you for helping me with that accursed case yesterday! Case that saw poor Miss Green hospitalized after she ended up with a knife in her back.
it's hard to believe that was only yesterday.
After the trial was over, I trudged my weary way back to my lowly lodgings. And that evening, at past 9 it must have been, I visited Mr. Shakespeare. So, you did go to the victim's room then?
As we feared.
I didn't suck his dick! I didn't do anything wrong! I'd never been to his room before, it was the first time! Then what made you decide to go? I bumped into him when I arrived back at the house. We got chatting and it developed into a discussion. But he had to go out, so I bade him farewell. Ties in with what Mr. Garrett said, that the victim went out and came back after 8. We met again later that evening at around 9 or just after, when I took him some nice tea I'd brewed as a gift. So it was you who brought the tea that had clearly been drunk at the scene then.
And I suppose you were discussing the works of Shakespeare, were you?
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Romeo and Juliet, who was the stronger? It was a delightful debate.
I'm sure.
Such a stimulating subject, Shakespeare. He's a fucking power scaler. Were they gonna win in a fight? Was that the question? I don't know. And the debate became very heated, so you slipped poison into Mr. Shakespeare's tea. No, never, not at all. Team Juliet won, that was me, and when I left his room, the flamboyant fellow was fighting fit, I swear it, categorically. Mr. Natsume, you often say the same thing about yourself, I've noticed. That you have a cursed existence.
I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before, but I've been here in Great Britain for a year now, and in that time I've learned that it's no place for me.
It can be very trying to live in a foreign land and adapt to the ways of another culture.
There are foreigners everywhere I look, and they all stare at me. They all laugh. That's the impression I get whenever I go out. It makes me scared to leave my room. Which is why I've become a recluse. But even in my room, I find no respite from my fears. I've moved more times than I can remember, and then 1 week ago I moved into Briar Road.
But why? I mean, why did you choose that place? Doesn't seem very comfortable.
Because the rent is cheap. I have so little money, it spoke to me.
The rent?
Obviously, there's a reason why it's cheap. Because the room is cursed.
Cursed? Cursed how?
The previous occupant, the man who lived there before I took the room, died there.
Oh no!
He was only a young man, but one morning he was found dead and no one could explain why.
Why would no one want to live in a room with a history like that? Was it a gas leak? Is that the big thing? Was that the thing that supposedly, quote-unquote, killed Shamspear and what killed that other guy? Is that the big reveal? And then is there going to be a cover-up that, like,
Britain doesn't want you to know that gas leaks kill people.
I don't know. Maybe that's why Professor Mikotoba called back Susato. I don't know. I'm guessing at this point.
I didn't. When the letting agent recommended the place, I wavered. But I want books, and books cost money! A horrible history is a small price to pay! When I realized it would mean I could buy more books, I signed the lease like lightning!
Brave or blinker?
But after I moved in, I soon came to realize what I'd done. I realized how horrible the room's history really was.
Gosh, was it really so awful? How did the room's horrible history affect you, Mr. Natsume? What happened?
At first, it was just a feeling. The feeling of beady eyes boring into my back, watching me.
You think that might just have been your mind playing tricks on you?
No. My mind doesn't know any tricks. It was someone else. It's been one long nightmare ever since I was given the keys to the place.
A nightmare? You've been having bad dreams, you mean?
All the souls have died in the room. Oh, that's a L. Lean over to me in my sleep and try to strangle me.
Hello, why has this dumbass been arrested this time? He went to go visit someone in the room, and the next morning they turned up almost dead. This is not the first one. It's a flashback, but this is still the second game. He literally went back after the trial from the first game, went into another dude's room, and the next morning that dude turned up dead. Except he actually was alive. That really is horrible.
And now I come to think of it, it happened again last night too. The very same night that Mr. Shamspear was writhing in agony from the poison in his body. I was on the verge of being suffocated silently by those miserable spirits in my room.
They fixed the AC this morning? Pog. Hell yeah. I wish I had that. But I know what it's like not to have it, so... That's a victory.
You simply must move out of that room as soon as possible.
Yes, you're right, I know it. And that's why I'm already searching for the next room with a history to call home.
I think perhaps you should try to avoid accommodation with any kind of history at all. Otherwise, I'm scared that you yourself may become history.
Shisato-san knows how to make the man listen.
Of course, Mr. Lord of the Manor is worried about the curse on my room as well.
You mean Mr. Garrett?
Yes, he knows that if people keep dying there, he'll never be able to rent it out again.
Oh, that's true. I, for one, wouldn't go near the place.
Ah, perhaps. That may explain why the landlord pays so much attention to the gas lamps and his tenants' movements.
You mean because he's worried about their well-being? Almost 28 Canadian when I cooked dinner last night. That's rough. Usually when it crosses about like 25 Celsius is when I really start to feel the heat and like don't like it. 25 I can handle, but anything more than that is yeah, rough. Inside, not out. I mean, I don't know what it's like inside, but there's usually not much difference because we don't have an AC. It's usually about the same temperature. He does seem to have an unusually keen interest in the amounts of gas in the pipe. There must be a reason why he keeps such close tabs on the occupants in his let rooms. There's currently 105 freedom units. I have no idea what that is. Also, how's it going, Doppel? What do you mean he pays so much attention to the gas lamps? The thermo thing needs 23 Canadian. Oh, that's not bad.
Oh dear, no, it's nothing to do with you, Mr. Natsume. Please, forget I said anything.
Oh, now you're talking about me behind my back as well. What's important is that Mr. Shamspear isn't in fact dead at all. Once he's come around and he's able to tell us what happened, we'll be able to get you released. Not quite 100 freedom a year, but it's also humid and miserable. It's also humid and pure as well. It's like at 50% humidity and it's not nice. .24 Celsius. Yeah. Like I said, like up to 25, that's okay. Once it crosses that, it's awful. 40 to 41 Celsius. Yeah, that's torture. That's god awful. But you have AC, don't you? Nice and crispy. Extra crispy. Yeah, AC in the desert. You would need it at 40 Celsius? Not a fucking chance. I wouldn't be able to sleep. Yes, please. Oh, I do hope you're right. Yeah, Arizona. What's that fucking quote from King of the Hill? Like, this, Nevada is a testament to mankind's, ignorance or something? I forget. Excuse me. Inspector Gregson, I couldn't help overhearing what you just said, and on that note, I have some good news and some bad news. Oh, which do you want first? Always, every time, the bad news comes first. But hope is all you have, hold on to it. That's my guiding principle. Greater Phoenix area, okay. Right, well in that case, the good news it is. Huh. Sorry, it's just a lot easier to explain everything that way. Then why did you ask me my preference? As you might have heard, the victim, Mr. Shamspear, was just unconscious. He's come round now. Yes, we saw it happen all in its terrifying glory. He's still being treated by the doctors, but we managed to get a written statement from him already.
Oh, isn't that wonderful, Mr. Natsume?
Oh, thank goodness, it's all over then. I can leave this somber cell. Sorry, no, that's not on the cards. What?
Why ever not, Inspector?
Mr. Shamspear has implicated someone as being responsible for what happened last night. Implicated someone?
Oh dear.
You don't mean... I'm sorry to say I do, yes. He's pointed the finger at you, Mr. Natsume. Ah! By sweet poison did he seeketh to end my life. That wicked caitiff, Saseki Natsume. No. I'm afraid you'll be appearing in court as planned. You'll be wanting to make the necessary preparations. No! And so, once again, Saseki-san found himself having to take the dock in the Old Bailey. Whether his room was haunted or whether he was just terribly unlucky, I knew I had no choice. The following day, I would represent him in court and do my utmost to break the curse that blighted him. I think about it, isn't this only the second or third case that isn't a murder? Yeah, technically, because he didn't actually die, so... it's just attempted murder. What are the other cases that you're thinking of? I know there was a fake out in Spirit of Justice. That I remember. What other ones were there? One Spirit of Justice. Yeah, if we're counting the fake outs, I think there's been 2. There was one in, I think, Trials and Tribulations, the one with Luke Atme. That was a fake out. And then the Spirit of Justice one regarding politician. Which was in ownership. That was like a civil case. But in both cases, it's turned out to be murder at the end anyways. So technically, I think this is the first case that isn't actually murder. Anyways, this is where we're gonna stop Greatest Attorney, because that's a perfect stopping point. So we'll be ending the recording here. Watch you see those words? There's a very real chance. It's not the first time they've done it. I'm gonna stop the recording here. YouTube, thanks for watching. We'll be back with more later. Bye-bye.